could not be here breathing and be comfortable if I was really as bad as they was making it. You know, nobody could be around me. So for me to be this calm, I must have some kind of inner peace. And my inner peace is knowing that once everybody take the time to really see what type of person I am, you'd be surprised that I stuck around this long. I have to make the life that I do live as happy as I can and try to do the best with what I have. You know, live the best life I can live, be as happy as I can be. Nothing is perfect for anybody. I don't know.
Boys, I swear, I think I figured it out. You know why they don't want us redneck brothers and sisters and the hood brothers and sisters getting along? You know why? Because we'd be unstoppable. I'm telling you right now, we would shut shit down.
A big head off the screen. I done talk for 2 hours. I'm over this shit. I'm just playing. What we're gonna be doing now is basically do a case read, and we're gonna let our AI reader read the case for us. You know, I'm gonna be listening with you guys, so I will stop some things to highlight it and also clarify some stuff. So we're gonna put that on the screen for you guys. Also, I want to give y'all a heads up. The program that I have is on a separate website, but we do have a whole sister page, the buyback team page, and it's free. You can go over to that other YouTube page and learn as much as possible. I promise you guys, because I'm about to clean that page up and take off a lot of information. I literally gave y'all all the tools y'all need to be tax lien investors. If y'all watch these videos, I have had somebody invest in one of the hardest states. What the hell state was it? Texas? I forgot. No, it was the hell Wyoming or somewhere. It was a weird state. I'm like, damn, you gotta wait 3 years. You doing this, you doing that. He was like, I learned everything from your YouTube page. And he did not take the course. And I couldn't be mad at him because I literally gave you all the tools there. So go check that page out. I'm gonna put it y'all already at the bottom, and I think it's connected to Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. Okay. So y'all can get freebies there before y'all even go to the course or even look at it. I literally I got a lot of videos there. And now y'all can apply it to y'all real life and go buy some fucking tax liens. Go get that property, yo. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. If 3 people get together and get $10,000, I think that y'all can do something with it. I do, but that's something we got to talk about because Illinois taxes is high as shit. That's a whole nother story. So now we're going to get to this case read right now, and this is involving what is his name? I call him the housing director, Mr. Williams. Okay, and this is going to show his true colors, and this is going to show his possible involvement in defrauding businesses, in this case, a church, from properly working as they've been there for a long time, or doing what they've been doing for the community. So I'm saying all of this before we read this is that Mr. Williams, let me say this to you. If you ever watching this, what's his name? Let's put this in real quick. Mr. Williams, Grace Levi is telling you, if you ain't smart, obviously we know you ain't smart, but if you are smart, I think you better make sure that you call them alphabet boys and start telling them the truth. They need to know a little bit more information about this housing scheme too. There's been a housing scheme out there in Dalton. There are people involved in that you may not know. It's been going on for years. Go and get your property back. When y'all go to the next board meeting, how Mr. Williams set up there and shuck and jive and ride his ass like a donkey and ask him, have you been involved with the houses being stole out here? Why are you capping for Henyard? Do you know that you're already named in lawsuits? And did you not get that letter from the Fed about the CARES Foundation? Remind his ass that we know what's going on and pretending it's not going to work. Now let's get to it, okay?
The United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division. Redeemed Christian Church of God Resurrection Power Assembly. Plaintiff. No V.
Hold on, y'all. Let me get to the bottom.
Tiffany Henyard, verified complaint for damages.
Nature case.
For mayor and the defendant Village of Dalton, an Illinois municipal corporation as follows. Nature of the case 1. This matter is about the deliberate illegal treatment of the plaintiff church by the defendant's Village of Dalton and Mayor Tiffany Henyard. 2. Resurrection Power Assembly has purchased a building in the B2 zoning to renovate and for use as a church. Case 1:24 CV01868 document
Hold on,
hashtag
y'all.
1 filed March 5th 24 page 1 of
Where we
31
at?
page ID hashtag 1.
Hold on.
Case 1:24
Sorry,
CV
y'all.
3. The defendant's actions are directly contrary to its ordinances as the express language of Title 10-6B2 of the Village of Dalton Zoning Code permits religious institutions in the B2 District Zoning District, which is the zoning district where the church's property is located at 703 East Sibley Boulevard, Dalton, Illinois, 60419. 4. Village officials have declared that the property is not zoned for use as a church and has withheld approval of other permits solely based on the false assertion that the property is not zoned as a church. 5. Defendant's actions in failing to apply its own zoning code facially, and has applied. 2. Case 1:24 CV0186 to the church prevents plaintiff and other religious assembly uses from operating anywhere within the village's B2 limited retail district. At the same time, similar non-religious assembly uses such as hotels, municipal buildings, a library, and uses described as fraternal/social clubs/education/charitable or philanthropic are permitted in the zone as of right. 6. On its face and as applied, defendant's actions in failing to apply its own zoning code treats religious assemblies on unequal terms with non-religious assembly uses in violation of the Equal Terms Provision of Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act.
So that was his defense, basically, that they were discriminating against them because they're a religious institution. And what they tried to do was rezone this actual area for commercial use only. Okay?
2010. But should a municipality create what purports to be a pure commercial district and then allow other uses, a church would have an easy victory if the municipality kept it out. 7. Defendants have also imposed their land use regulations in a manner that treats similarly situated uses differently in violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution. Cleburne v. Cleburne Living CTR 473 U.S. 432, 439. 8. Defendants' actions in not applying and honoring their own zoning code also places unreasonable limitations on religious assemblies which seek to worship in the village in violation of the unreasonable limitations provision of RLUIPA 42 U.S.C. 2000 cubic centimeters. 9. The defendants' actions have further imposed a substantial burden on the church in violation of RLUIPA 42 U.S.C. 2000 cubic centimeters and continue to unlawfully restrict the church's free exercise of religion and freedom of speech and freedom of association as protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. 2. Parties 10. Plaintiff, Redeemed Christian Church of God Resurrection Power Assembly, is an Illinois not-for-profit corporation and it was founded in November 8, 2008. As a church plant to Redeemed Christian Church of God, that has at least 30 locations where members meet to worship throughout Illinois.
I just got to highlight, this church probably been there since she been a little girl, and she don't even care. She's disgusting.
Pastor Stephen Osunkai is senior pastor at Redeemed Christian Church of God Resurrection Power Assembly. His declaration is attached here too as Exhibit 1. 12. Defendant, the Village of Dalton, is a home rule unit of local government with a principal place of business at 14,122 Martin Luther King J. Defendant, Tiffany Henyard, is the mayor of the Village of Dalton. 14. Defendants through its boards and trustees are responsible for the enactment and enforcement of the zoning code and the actions challenged herein. Background Background of the church 20. The church began its ministry in November 8, 2008. By meeting to worship in the South Holland Community Center. Due to an increase in church attendance, Resurrection Power Assembly proceeded with a new church plant in Chicago. Despite diverting some members to start a new church in 2022, the church continued to experience growth in attendance at their church services and as a result faced numerous obstacles related to lack of space for its ministries. Despite diverting some members to start a new church in 2022, the church continued to experience growth in attendance at their church services and as a result faced numerous obstacles related to lack of space for its ministries. 22. By May 21, 2023, there were a total of 82 members attending the church, including 18 men, 25 women, and 39 children. 23. Since its founding on November 8, 2008, the church has conducted, and still intends to conduct, the following ministries and religious exercises, all of which are compelled by and integral to the sincerely held religious beliefs of the church and its members.
Now, let me just highlight right here. Right here, they highlighted some scriptures up in here, and they were like, this is how they support their argument about religious rights. Okay, now religious rights is based in the Bible. Okay, yeah, that's a stance. That's a stance. I'm trying to tell you. So if the church could take the stance and protect themselves with the Bible, once we get ourselves together, we can protect ourselves with the Bible. Message. Black people ain't got no nationality, but I'm going to shut up. They like, what is she talking about? Moving forward.
A weekly assembly of the congregation to worship. B. Weekly preaching, including speech relating to personal morality, God, social, cultural, and political issues.
2 Timothy 4.2.
C. Pastoral counseling for the disturbed, lonely, and bereaved.
So these are the Bible verses that they took it out. So they not praying. Oh my God, prayer meeting is in Acts 1:13-14. This is what I did for my exemption. When I did my exemption for the jab, I used scripture as well. That's why I'm laughing, because this ain't no damn joke. You need to learn law. I mean, and learn, like, there's a spiritual law, what is it? Law of the land, and there is international. There's different branches of law. Just know that in the regular court system, they honor the Bible to a certain extent. I'm just trying to let you know that if you use it correctly. Let's move on. So they're giving some pictures. The church believe that all of its ministries are in furtherance of his mission. So it's giving some evidence about who they are, what they do.
26. Prior to the church's purchase of the property, Pastor Asunkai received a copy of Chapter 6 of the Village of Dalton's zoning code from the church's realtor, Sam Aguia with St. Sosa Realty Incorporated, who had received the copy of Chapter 6 from the Village of Dalton's building department. At that time, the pastor noticed that express language of the zoning code allowed for church in Zone B2 where the property was located. 27. In June 2023, the escrow was paid for repairs pursuant to the village's inspection, and the church closed on the property. X. 1. Declaration of Pastor Asunkai. After the closing, the church was given by the village a general permit to commence the renovation and were told by the village's building.
So let me clarify. They've been in business since 2008 at other locations, and they were trying to open up in June 2023. Let me correct that, okay, guys?
1. Declaration of Pastor Asunkai. After the closing, the church was given by the village a general permit to commence the renovation and were told by the village's building department that the plumbing permit and the electrical permit needed to be applied for separately.
What?
28. During the process of renovation, one of the...
I'm sorry. Do you know that's the fees that they've been talking about? It's not just the fees for the grass. Remember, I was telling you that they was charging landlords and people who own property so many different crazy fees. So he went for a permit, and instead of putting both under one permit for one job to do it, they made them pay separate. Dang shit.
28. During the process of renovation, one of the village's building inspectors told the church that it needed to apply for a business license. Thereafter, plaintiff was informed by the defendants that the plumbing permit could not be approved until the business license was approved. 29.
What?
On July 30th, 2023, Pastor Asunkai went to Village Hall to fill out the application for a business license for the church.
I didn't know churches had to fill out business license. I never heard that day in my life. Educate me, y'all. Educate me.
When the pastor gave the completed application for the church's business license to William Moore, he said to the pastor words to the effect that he did not believe the church's application for a business license would be approved because it was the mayor of Dalton's intention to keep Sibley Boulevard only for commercial purposes. 30 beginning in August 20.
That's where we gonna talk about William Moore. He gonna be here testifying. And don't be calling God down. Just tell him what you did. Tell him what you did.
Dalton's intention to keep Sibley Boulevard only for commercial purposes. 30 beginning in August 2023. Resurrection Power Assembly retained an attorney from 7. Mock and Baker, Richard C. Baker, and thereafter informed him that there was an upcoming meeting scheduled with the village to discuss the church's application for a business permit. Point 31. In preparation for the meeting, Mr. Baker reviewed a copy of Chapter 6 of the Dalton's Zoning Code, entitled Business Districts, Article B, B2 Limited Retail Business District, that was given to him by Pastor Osunkai that had been provided by the village. 32. Mr. Baker also went online to the village's zoning map and reviewed it as well, prior to the meeting. 33. However, Pastor Osunkai informed Mr. Baker before the meeting that he could not provide him with a copy of the entire Dalton zoning code because the church had never received one from the village.
What?
X.
What? You couldn't provide him with the zoning code because the church had never received one from the village, so they didn't have. Oh, wait, let's finish. What?
5. Declaration of Richard C. Baker, 34. Prior to the August meeting, Mr. Baker also went online to the village's website and located the property of the church on the village's zoning map and confirmed that the church was located in a B2 limited retail business district. 30. In further preparation before the meeting with the village, Mr. Baker reviewed Chapter 6 of the village's zoning code concerning B2 limited retail business districts that Pastor Osunkai had provided and verified that Section 10-6B2D of the village's zoning code includes clubs and lodges, fraternal or religious institutions.
See? That's why you got to pay attention to details. Just in that little part of the code, it allowed for his business because it said nonprofit, fraternal, or religious institution is allowed. That's why we got to read, people. She just want us to swim and break pencils.
As permitted uses in the B2 limited retail business district. Thereafter, there was a meeting on August 30th, 2023 between Resurrection Power Assembly, the church's attorney, the village's administrator, and the village's.
Oh boy.
8.
Oh, wait, stop it. Keith Freeman had a meeting with Richard Baker. Let's put his name up in there. You up in here too, dog.
Housing director to discuss the church's application for a business license. 37. At that meeting, the village
we just missed that because I was cracking jokes. Just listen one more time. It was Keith Freeman there and the village housing director, William Moore, to discuss the church application for business license. Does it sound like a conspiracy to me? Sounded like a little bit of conspiracy.
Housing director to discuss the church's application for a business license. 37. At that meeting, the village administrator, Mr. Freeman, apologized but told Pastor Osunkai that the village would not be able to approve the church's application for a business license. 38. Specifically, Mr. Freeman said at the August 30th meeting, you can have anything in there except a church. 39.
What? Wait.
Responded to village.
He said you can have anything there except for a church. We about to turn Dalton out. We don't want no churches in the downtown area, okay, sir? Okay? We want strip bars, titty bars, excuse my language. You know them bars is still open. There's a bar that's open right down around the corner from Village Hall. It's a bar that's open. Like, remember I went live and I was like, oh, that bar open. Boy, it wasn't no restaurant. Wasn't shit else.
Pastor Osunkai responded to village administrator Keith Freeman at the meeting and informed him that he had told the Village of Dalton housing director, Mr. Moore, on July 30th, 2023, that before the church purchased the property it was given Chapter 6 of the Village of Dalton's zoning code that lists religious institutions as a permissible use in Zone B2, where the property is located. 40. During the August 30th, 2023 meeting, Mr. Freeman then turned to Mr. Moore at the meeting and asked if what Pastor Osunkai had said was true, and Mr. Moore said yes. X. 1. Declaration of Pastor Asunkai, 41. At that same meeting, Mr. Freeman also told Mr. Baker that the church must stop work on the renovations at the property because it was not zoned for church use.
Wow.
42.
They can't. Hold
In
up.
response,
Y'all cracking on me. They can't read because it's in the code. Slow ass Keith Freeman. You know he's slow over there looking like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Something wrong with his slow ass. Y'all think Freeman, he's smart, but something ain't right. You know people could be so smart that they dumb. I think that's Freeman. I think that's Keith Freeman. He's so smart that he dumb.
In response, Mr. Baker produced a copy of Chapter 6 of the village's zoning code and showed Freeman Chapter
Thank you.
6, Article B, Section 10-6B2D, in which religious institutions are included as a permitted use in B2 limited retail districts. 43. Furthermore, Mr. Baker informed Mr. Freeman at the August 30th, 2023 meeting that 9.
Wait.
The village had affirmed that the code permitted the church's use of the property as a religious institution when it issued the original building permit PM 23-1806, which clearly states that the zoning has been reviewed and is in compliance with all village ordinances and restrictions.
Oh my God. Did y'all hear what they
44
just
in
said?
response.
Did you hear what they just said? They approved, they did. Originally approved the permit and he applied under the same terms. So how did you just start denying shit? Here go a Henyard. No, we ain't doing that. I told you Henyard has a vision. And that's dangerous when someone who thinks they're a leader, that their vision is above everyone around them, that nobody else life matters. She don't give a damn. It's what she wants. It does not matter what the rules is, what's the law. And y'all, somebody said that. It's like, no matter how much the trustees change the things, she changed the laws and the regulations, she's still gonna be there trying to swipe that damn card. It's gonna be like reject. She gonna be like, this shit work. I'm just taking it. I'll pay you on the Village of Dalton. That's how we got hardhead Tiffany doing her Tiffany duty here.
44. In response, Mr. Freeman replied to Mr. Baker at the August 30th, 2023 meeting that even though a general building permit had been issued, he had spoken to the mayor and the renovations could not go forward because the property was in an area intended for businesses, and churches were not a permitted use in that area along Sibley Boulevard, where the church's property was located. 45. However, when Mr. Baker, in order to ascertain whether any other portion of the zoning code restricted uses on Sibley Boulevard, asked Mr. Freeman for a copy of the full zoning code at the August 30th, 2023 meeting, Mr. Freeman replied that he did not have a copy of the code on hand, that it was difficult to get a hold of, but that he would track one down and forward it to Mr. Baker, and then schedule another meeting to settle the matter. 46. Additionally, when Pastor Asunkai specifically asked Mr. Moore at the meeting on August 30th, 2023 about the renewal of the church's building permit, given that it was to expire in October 2023, he responded by stating that there was no problem. When the time came to renew, the village's building department would renew the church's building permit. 47. In the interim, the church's plumber submitted his application for the plumbing permit to the village of Dalton for the church. On or about early October 2023, when the plumbing permit had still not been approved, Pastor Asunkai went to speak to the village to 10. Speak with Mr. Moore, and asked him about the pending application for the plumbing permit.
Y'all see this, y'all? Y'all know why I said, damn, that's messed up. They first they doing the same thing that they did to Isom, the gentleman who is that Isom, the Isom case where he was trying to have the barbershop and then he tried to change it to a massage thing, you know, Paula to fit what they wanted. They were playing around with him with permits. He would apply, pay the money, and then it just sit. So they getting money each way like that. And the permit's $500 or so. This is terrible, yo. I understand why people hate Henyard, yo. They disgusted with her. This is disgusting.
Because the village was refusing to issue the plumbing permit and the project was stymied until this matter was resolved, Mr. Baker followed up with Mr. Freeman on September 5th, 2023 by phone, and when he could not get through, he sent Mr. Freeman an email reminding him of his commitment at the August 30th meeting to provide Mr. Baker with a full copy of the zoning code so that they could potentially resolve the matter. 50. Although Mr. Baker made numerous requests by phone and via email to both Mr. Freeman and Mr. Moore to produce the full zoning code, and to show the provisions of the zoning code that would substantiate the village's position that the church was not a permitted use in its B2 limited retail business district. The code was never produced and no code provision ever provided to support the village's position. Mr. Baker finally asked Mr. Moore and Mr. Freeman to provide him with the name of counsel representing the village. 51. On November 1st, 2023, after months of the church's attorney Richard Baker leaving voicemail and sending emails to Mr. Freeman and Mr. Moore, Mr. Baker finally received a copy of the Village of Dalton's entire zoning code from the village's attorney Mr. Stuck. 52. The zoning code that was provided affirmed that the church's property located at.
See, at least they didn't change it and shit. You know, here you're changing shit. At least they ain't changing. This man finally got a true copy from them, even though he didn't need it because he saw it himself.
On November 2nd, 2023, Mr. Baker sent the zoning code to both Mr. Freeman and to Mr. Moore, along with a detailed letter setting forth the provisions in the village's zoning code that allowed churches as a permitted use in the B2 limited retail business district, and specifically stated, at our meeting in August, one of your last comments was that you would not want to stand in the way of the Lord's work. So please, let my people go.
Oh, wait a minute. Yo, he didn't. Wait a minute. Yo, I got to come on the screen for that one. I'm so sorry. Yo, what did you say, Miss Valerie? Yes, God works by faith, and that Bible works. He said, let me get my stuff. He said, let my people go. I'm sorry. Let's go. Yo, this is amazing.
At our meeting in August, one of your last comments was that you would not want to stand in the way of the Lord's work. So please, let my people go.
Oh my God.
Given the months of delay and given that RCCG Resurrection Power Assembly has a right to use its property as a church, the village's continuing arbitrary refusal to issue the necessary building permits has placed a substantial burden on my client and is unlawful. Accordingly, we respectfully request that the village lift the hold on the continued renovation of the property, renew its general building permit PM 23-1086 and also issue the electrical and the plumbing permits necessary for the renovation. Please confirm this in writing so as to avoid any further confusion.
That's sad.
54. On November 27, 2023, in one last attempt to resolve this matter, Mr. Baker contacted the village's clerk's office and spoke with Ms. Neely by phone and then by email in an attempt to obtain the name of the village's attorney who could act on behalf of the village to resolve this matter.
Who Miss Neely, y'all? Tell me who Miss Neely is. I never heard that name a day in my life.
Neely by phone and then by email in an attempt to obtain the name of the village's attorney who could act on behalf of the village to resolve this matter since Mr. Freeman refused to return calls or respond to emails and Mr. Stick said he did not represent the village in this matter. 55. When Mr. Baker spoke with Ms. Neely, she expressed surprise that the matter was still going on, stating that she thought it was resolved because the mayor decided that this church use does not fit the plans for Sibley.
What the fuck does she mean? She thought it was decided. What does this? Who the hell is Miss Neely being stupid? Talking about because the mayor had decided. I told y'all she don't have no respect for other people, their vision, rules, regulations. And then you have dummies, and I'm gonna call them whole dummies. She like a cult member, whoever Miss Neely is, talking about, well, I thought that was decided on. The queen has spoken. No matter what the fuck the law is, no matter what fairness is, no matter what, diversity means and usage according to our rules and regulations, the fucking mayor spoke. Cult member. You see why I don't fuck around? It's because I don't mess with people who don't like me to tell them no. Shit, because I'll be like, no, I'm not doing that. Do it yourself. And if they get mad at you for saying no or questioning them, anybody around you, you better question their intentions and who the fuck they are.
In addition,
they like Henyard.
The village of Dalton and Mayor Tiffany Henyard have failed to respond to a letter that Pastor Osunkai sent to them on January 5, 2024. requesting a response and specific reasons why the defendants continue to prohibit the church's renovation on the 12.
Wait.
Case 1:24 CV
Stop it.
property, when in fact the Village of Dalton's own zoning code allows churches as a permitted use under B2 Limited Retail Business District. 57. Now, almost 7 months later, after Resurrection Power Assembly closed on the property and was provided an initial general building permit by the Village of Dalton's Building Department, the defendants continue to refuse to respond to both Resurrection Power Assembly and its attorney's requests to remove the hold on the building permits for the property and to process its application for an electrical permit and for a plumbing permit for the church to continue its renovation. C. Burdens on the church 58. Defendants' actions in opposition to the village's own zoning code and opposing the use of the property as a church have placed substantial burdens on the church. 59. The church spent 10 years at its other location at 233 E1.
So basically right here, this is the arguments set forward. And what they're going to be talking about is whatever the harms that they're having. You remember, if you have a lawsuit, you have to have the harm. Now they set up the whole scenario. We like, oh my God, look at all of this shit. Conspiracy. Now this is what their fight is. Now these are burden calls on the church. Basically, because they can't expand their congregation. This is one of the things I know they're talking about.
Even though the church officially has purchased the property located at 703 East Sibley Boulevard, Dalton, it needs to remodel the property before the new church location can officially reopen. 61. However, defendants have willfully, and without any justification, continue to insist that the church cannot proceed with renovation of the property until it receives a business license, which the defendants have still failed to provide to plaintiff, almost a year after its request. 62. During the remodeling process, the church has had to rent a building temporarily in.
So this is where they're setting up the burden. Now they have to spend more money. Now, when they start to go for claiming against the Village of Dalton and Tiffany Henyard, this is what they're going to use as the basis of their damages. Listen, this is how you write a good report. This is why this shit 30 pages, because this was a good one. You remember the other one we read? I was like, shit, missing. Oh my God, the judge making them rewrite it because they didn't even have a claim. They didn't even have their damages in there. They just stick a claim in there. But this one is really good, y'all. So listen to what they're about to start establishing, the damages in this case.
Order to meet for worship services and for its ministries, and has been paying $1,000 per month for the rent for that space at 233 E 138th Street, Dalton. 63. The church has been severely prejudiced by the defendant's continued refusal to follow its own zoning code that permits religious institutions in Zone B2.
So we know that. So basically what they're about to set up is how the damages affected them. So they're talking about the $1,000 per
The
month.
church has had to pay $1,000 per month in rent for the location where the church currently meets at 233 E 138th Street, Dalton. B. There has been flooding in the hall of the location where the church currently meets for church service.
Oh, shoot, that's
C. The
bad.
drastic setback in the church's children and teenager ministries because the church does not have the space to accommodate separate rooms for the different age groups at the church's current location.
Jesus.
D. The ministries for teenagers and adults have to meet together in the same hallway since there is no place in the current location for separate meeting rooms. E. The total church attendance has dropped by more than one-half from a total of 82 church attendees on May 21st.
So this is also a claim. What they can do is take the percentage of how much their church was growing versus what happened to here, and then talk about the average donations and give a medium amount and times it. And this is how they set a claim. This is a great case.
F. Choir practice continues to be by Zoom since there is no location for the church choir to meet for the music ministries of the church at the current location.
More money spent.
G. There have been declines in church tithing and members' contributions to the church's building fund, given the loss in church membership and not being able to move into the church's new property at Sibley Ave that has more space for all of the ministries.
More money lost.
H. There has been a setback in church administration. For instance, the church's pastor does not have a separate office to keep the church records and for private meetings with individual members of the church for pastoral counseling. However, the church's pastor does not have that at the current location for the church meets and has to meet with members in the hallway of the current location. The church has incurred legal fees connected with its attempt to obtain the required permits and with this litigation. 65. The lack of a permanent home has also created uncertainty among the congregants. 66.
So basically, he's setting up that they're trying to shut down business at this point. This is all of their claims that they can use to get monetary funds off of this lawsuit.
The lack of a permanent home has also generated a lack of momentum among the church's congregants. For instance, the church's administration has had to field questions from its members regarding when certain ministries can have its own space and not have to share the space with the adults in the hallway of the temporary church location that the church is currently using. 67. Moreover, the church continues to face the weekly inconvenience of not being able to use their own property in the village of Dalton.
Now, this is the count of the violations now. They're talking about they're violating the law. Now, this is their own violations of their own policies. And this is violation of B12 zoning code, which we know what it is. I'm going to try to skim through that. And we know what it is that the use of permits, we're just going to get to that.
Reference. Uses permitted. No building or land shall be used and no building shall be erected, unless otherwise provided in this title except for the following uses. Miscellaneous uses, as follows: clubs and lodges, fraternal or religious institutions, meeting halls, radio and television broadcasting stations, signs, as classified and regulated in Chapter 10 of this title.
So they're so smart and dumb at the same time. I just got to say it like that. That they verified this code with him, and he was right.
72. After the village confirmed that the property was zoned for church use and after the village initially issued a general building permit to the church for rehabbing the property for church use, the village then refused to allow renovation to continue. 73. Although the village claimed that they did not have a copy of its own zoning code, the village also informed the church that the property was not zoned for church use, and the mayor did not want a church at that location.
She didn't want God there. Let's go to the second count. Oh my God, declaration of judgment. Okay.
Count 2, declaratory judgment pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 2201.
Why? I think this because they already told on themselves.
1740.
I think they asking for judgment because they already told on themselves. But let's see what they saying here.
74. The allegations contained in all of the preceding paragraphs are incorporated here by reference. 75. Count 2 is alleged against the village of Dalton and Mayor Henyard. 76. The village and the mayor withheld granting the church's business license, renewing. 16. Case 1. Its general building permit, and issuing its electrical and plumbing permits because of the subjective view of Henyard, who only wanted commercial uses along Sibley Boulevard.
I don't know what this law is because they didn't reference it. So I'm trying to figure out pursuant to 28 USC. I don't know what law is this, but I'm trying to sum it up so we get through it. But it's restating a lot of the issues of what they did. Made them get a permit, paid for it, then said it was okay at first, then said it wasn't okay, knew the law, tried to hold the law, and lied to them during the village meeting right in front of everybody. Just because they said it nice, people probably believed them. As I told you guys, it's because somebody say something like, well, you know, if you would have gave me a heads up earlier, we would have had this document. Don't fall for the hype. How that came in my head. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype, because they have it right there. They knew this zoning code was there. They knew this man was right in front of all of y'all. And they keep Freeman as talking about people talking about, yeah, you should keep P. Freeman around, even telling the trustees they should keep him around because he's with the feds now. Y'all fucking crazy. This man is of the devil too.
Based on prior assurances by the village that the church's general building permit would be renewed.
So let's go to this.
Defendants are acting as if the church is liable for violating the village's zoning code when, in fact, the village's zoning code expressly allows for religious institutions to be in Zone B2. 79.
Listen to that.
As such, Resurrection Power Assembly seeks a declaratory judgment to resolve this issue by declaring that the village of Dalton and the mayor must renew its general
On its
building permit,
space.
grant its business license, and issue the requested plumbing and electrical permits without a valid reason.
See, basically what they did, everything that they state can be proven. It is discoverable. They even admit to it. That's why they wanted a declaratory judgment, because everything within this actual case filing is highlighting that they knew that this man was in right standing, that they made him spend more money, losing members, and literally putting people's health in danger. Like, yo, if it's flood and water, it's mold somewhere. You know that. What the is wrong with she going to jail? Then hell. So that's why they're asking for basically a judgment on his face. Like, we don't even need to go to trial. Just let me have my damn license and pay me what you owe. Let's see what they asking for in violation of due process and rights. So basically, due process and rights, that is them probably not allowing them not only to open the business, but not giving them a heads up on what is correct to do and what's not correct to do. So they're not following the laws. So this person doesn't have the due process and relate to the laws in zoning because they're lying. So this is why they're saying that you're violating the due process and rights under the processes that they have in Dalton. Okay, let's go into it. They talk about it right here.
Every person who, under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state objects, or causes to be subjected, any citizen of the United States or other person within the jurisdiction thereof to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and laws, shall be liable to the party injured in an action at law, suit in equity, or other proper proceeding for redress.
Basically, in any business or any transaction, discrepancy, especially when that's why we have laws, codes, and regulations. It's a due process. So that's what he's talking about. And any of us as U.S. citizen, we fall under the 14th Amendment citizen. I'm saying it like it ain't the best status. It really is not. We get taxed more everything as a citizen versus other entities that they create. Okay. But this right here, we supposed to have due process to fight against illegal seizure, illegal incarceration, seizure of property. Like I'm saying, not search and seizure, but just seizure of property. So that's where it falls under the 14th Amendment and their due process rights. Okay. Now we're gonna get into it because I want to get down a little bit because they got this pack. Conspiracy. Y'all know I like that word. You know I like it. It is what it is, because that's what all these people are doing, conspiring against each other to defraud the people. You see what I'm saying? Being secretive, coming up with these damaging ass plans so they could come out on top and everybody else lose. Okay. So this is going to be another example of conspiracy to deprive plaintiffs of constitutional rights. So the conspiracy is going to have something to do with Moore, Freeman, and that lady. I forgot the name. I was like, who is that lady? Sounding like a cult member. Those three going to be involved in this conspiracy. Let's listen to how it breaks down.
Count 4-42 USC 1983 conspiracy to deprive plaintiff of constitutional rights, the church against the village and Mayor Henyard for damages. 94 The allegations contained in all of the preceding paragraphs are incorporated here by reference. 9. Defendant the Village of Dalton and Defendant Mayor Henyard, acting in concert with other known and unknown co-conspirators, conspired by concerted action to accomplish an unlawful purpose by unlawful means. 97 In furtherance of this conspiracy, each of the defendants committed specific overt acts.
You see, specific overt acts, misuse their position of authority. Conspiracy, the foundation of it, what they're doing is see, I use that word. Y'all made me conscious of that damn word. I don't care. I can't say the S. Shit. But overt basically acts are acts that are not out in the open. It's sneaky. Now, this is it's a two-way street when it comes to the RICO charges and conspiracy, because basically, even though these people here deserve to go to jail, they do. If we do things inadvertently and don't know, we can be charged with conspiracy and they can use us against whoever is the big dog in the conspiracy they trying to bring down. Let me give you an example. You work for a car dealer. You don't know that this owner of this car dealer is taking cars and swapping VIN numbers, but you've been selling it. You got an idea something not right because you like, damn, this VIN number don't match this paperwork, but fuck it, I done made some money. I don't care. That's not my job, not my thing. Do you see what I'm saying? When the alphabet boys come down, they're looking at everybody part and they're going to ask you, hey, did you not see these two VIN numbers not matching when you did this transaction? And the person is going to be like, and that's how it's an overt act. Is that you may not have known that this was a car ring. This is how they get people. Do you understand the significance of RICO and how it's going to be able to take a whole bunch of people under and wipe us out? Even if that's why you gotta be careful who you associate with. You see why I'm funny as hell? Like, fuck this. I learned, excuse my language, I learned a long time ago from when the first time my page went viral. Baby, if I stay associated with this right here, them alphabet boys is gonna watch me until I slip up and try to make something over at and lock my ass up. Okay, I'm dead serious. I was like, I'm not part of that shit. I don't want nothing to do with them. I was just learning about some stuff. Now I figure out this shit is weird. I'm leaving it alone. This is a whole nother subject that y'all may not know nothing about. This is not the first time that my page has went viral. I had to reset my page because I was like, hell no, them alphabet boys ain't coming after me. I went too deep in this motherfucking conspiracy. So guys, go ahead and mess around and be too loyal to just anybody. You don't know their connections. You don't know what they have under them. You don't know their intentions. And then you end up being connected overtly to that person. Does that make sense? How conspiracy could get you, gotcha. Get you, gotcha. All right. So let's go on to
Count
how many more counts
B42
we got?
1983 Monel liability.
We getting down to it. We probably got,
100.
I think we got 2 more counts. We're going to try to just jump through this. So this is Monel liability to church against the village. Let's see. I'm going to listen to it and break it down. I really don't know this specific code, but I'm always willing to learn. Let's go.
100. The village of Dalton, through its police department and mayor, has interrelated de facto policies, practices, and customs which included, inter alia, a falsely representing to the church that the village's zoning code is limited to commercial uses.
Monel liability.
When the express language of B2 of the zoning code includes an exception for religious institutions, B failing to promulgate policies to address how public officials are to. 20. Case 1:24CV018668 document. Engage with churches in ensuring constitutionally protected First Amendment activity. C. Failing to train public officials, such as the defendants, in the express language of the village's zoning code, so that they have an understanding of the fact that religious institutions, such as the church, are allowed to exist in Zone B2, D. Retaliating against the church by denying its business license, by refusing to renew its building permit, and by failing to issue the plumbing and electrical permits, resulting in severe prejudice for the church from the unjustified delays. 103. Defendant: the village acted under the color of the law, and under the authority of one or more interrelated de facto policies, practices, and / or customs of the village of Dalton, by and through Mayor Henyard, to violate Resurrection Power Assembly's rights as set forth above.
Okay. So basically this Monel liability just basically highlights that the officers involved, Freeman involved, the lady Miss Neely involved, and Williams involved makes the village of Dalton responsible, because I had to just look this up. It says under the Monel doctrine, a municipality may be held liable for an officer's action when the plaintiffs established the officer's violated their constitutional rights. So because that case involved the constitutional right, this is a reflection of the case. These doctrines, these case laws that they use will be a different type of case, but it will have some of the same elements, okay? I.e. the municipality is involved here, unofficial customs that is being pushed by these municipality members. And it says here, in unofficial customs, or because of the municipality was deliberately indifferently in a failure to train or supervise the officer. However, the narrow interpretation may be beneficial to all plaintiffs. So basically, it's making them liable for their actions, okay, as a municipality. Okay, so that is specifically to municipality. This is how they're transferring those behavior of those people to the village of Dalton, and you guys have to pay. Okay.
Defendant Mayor Henyard developed and maintained policies, practices, procedures, and customs of the defendant the village by acting arbitrarily and inconsistently from the village of Dalton's zoning code, exhibiting deliberate antagonism to the constitutional rights of the church, including but not limited to those policies, practices, procedures, and customs described above, which caused the violation of Resurrection Power Assembly's rights as described herein and the resultant damages suffered.
Let's get to the next violation.
Count 6 violation of RLUIPA 42 USC 2000 cubic
RLUIPA.
centimeters substantial burden provision. 1.
Let's see what this about, because this is laws related to Illinois. So I just kind of, I know the ones that kind of be universal. This is new. This is probably about a burden of proof. This is what it sounds like. And this is I think the burden of proof was established by them having that code.
110. Count 6 is alleged against the village of Dalton and Mayor Henyard. 111. The substantial burden provision of the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act 42 USC 2000 cubic centimeters provides the following. 112. The Seventh Circuit has held that, in the context of RLUIPA, a land use regulation imposes a substantial burden on religious exercise if it necessarily bears direct, primary, and fundamental responsibility for rendering religious exercise, including the use of.
Oh, that's great.
22.
So that's related to religious exercise of right in Illinois. So I like that. Oh, I learned something new today. Okay, that's for Illinois. I could have used that for my case, not my case. When I was refusing the injection, if I was in Illinois, I would have used that right there. Right there. Okay, go ahead. Let's get down to it. We're about to finish this because we've been on for a while, but I want y'all to get the full understanding of what's going on with this case, how they were trying to change the zoning laws. So they didn't even do it. They didn't even change it. You had stupid Keith Freeman like, I don't know where this paper and how I can get the paper, but his ass knew it was right there because the gentleman already had it. He already had the paper, okay?
115. The village's refusal
Well, not
to follow
the
its own
paper.
zoning code that allows
He
religious
didn't have the paper. He had the code that highlighted. He had the paper that highlighted the code and that they wasn't in violation, okay? He had an non-official copy, I believe, when he was representing it to the board and people. But he tried to be as legal as possible and get a true copy from the village of Dalton. And that's what he did. That's why he said, listen, all you got to do is just basically say I win because they admitted that I was right by even giving me this. Does that make sense? That's why the process was a little bit long because you come in like, it's right here. But that's unofficial evidence. Now, if they give you something that's directly to policy, that is something that's coming from officials and it's their direct policy. And that's evidence that they gave you that. Okay. So that's why he was asking for a straight win. Like they done told on themselves. Okay. Now let's get into the last part.
Count 7 violation of RLUIPA 42 USC 2000 cubic centimeters equal terms provision.
So basically, I know this has to do with the same thing, religious equal rights to be treated the same and no discrimination. And what they're doing is discrimination. That's basically what this is talking about.
Discrimination and exclusion, protection of land use as religious exercise. Equal terms. No government shall impose or implement a land use regulation in a manner that treats a religious assembly or institution on less than equal terms with a non-religious assembly or institution.
That's right.
2007, 127. The Seventh Circuit interpreted the equal terms provision of RLUIPA as providing that religious and secular land uses may not be treated differently from the standpoint of an accepted zoning criterion.
And that's how you put the law in here. He did a great job with referencing laws, okay? I had to go look like, what does that mean? Go ahead. Let's move forward. I'm trying to get
2010, 128. If a church and a community center, though different in many respects, do not differ with respect to any accepted zoning criterion, then an ordinance that allows one and forbids the other denies equality and violates the equal terms provision.
So basically, that's the terms for discrimination. He put the law there. And here is the last one, equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. Like, we're all supposed to have equal rights under the 14th Amendment as 14th Amendment citizens. So let's just get into that. And then I think hopefully we done.
133. There is neither a compelling governmental interest nor even a rational basis for the village to deliberately ignore its own zoning code that expressly permits religious institutions in the B2 limited retail business district, in order to and prohibit plaintiff from 26. Obtaining the required business license and the requested permits on the basis that religious assembly uses are not allowed in the area where the property is located. 134. The village's refusal to recognize and apply its own zoning code that allows for religious institutions in the B2 limited retail business district and to deny Resurrection Power Assembly its business license and requested electrical and plumbing permits on the property on the false premise that.
So basically, they talk about the right to be protected under being a 14th Amendment citizen, and they 14th Amendment, not citizen, but I told you they have businesses, these corporations that are protected just as much as us because they wrote clauses under there that they have rights. I'm trying to tell you, when I was talking about business development and creating entities, I was and teaching them the laws defined it for real estate. I was like, oh shit, that's why businesses and corporations have just as much rights as us. Okay. Now, the free exercise clause is the free to exercise your religious rights, and that's what they're taking away from them. And basically, it's highlighting the same thing, that they're discrimination against this church because it's a church, and it's specific, and it is highlighted. I'm catching myself. It's highlighted in their own codes that the church can be there. Okay.
Upon information and belief, the village violated plaintiff's clearly established rights by acting outside of the scope of its governmental duties and or misusing its governmental authority to actively oppose Resurrection Power Assembly's efforts to renew its building permit, plumbing permit, and electrical permit for the property.
Wow.
And conspired with Henyard and or the village's officials to deprive plaintiff of its First Amendment free exercise rights. Village officials are municipal officers who, acting under color of law, caused the deprivation of the church's clearly established federal rights or conspired to cause such deprivation.
That's why you don't supposed to just listen to the king, to the leader that don't even know the rules. Just listen to Tiffany Henyard and look what the hell it is. Look exactly what it led the village adults into. Another lawsuit because you deprived this person of their rights. And this is under federal. That's why they picked this up federally. Do you understand this? Is an article that said this is picked up federally. That's why Mr. Moore, he needs to shut the hell up because this is picked up federally. They do have a news article that says that.
The village conspired with Henyard and other village officials to violate the civil rights of the church under RLUIPA and the United States Constitution by treating the church in a discriminatory fashion and by creating undue burdens, delay, expenses.
Now, in this other count, he's trying to go directly after Tiffany Henyard, the individual. Okay. And I think, like, for instance, like what's happened with Lacey Lewis, they're saying making him responsible. It looks like they're trying to make him responsible for some lawsuits that he has caused. So if the law doesn't protect these government entities, as so you hear reading these cases, basically because you work for the municipality, you are an officer, you are basically the responsibility of the police station, and they are directly responsible or liable for any claims. That is what they do generally. But when they pull a person specific, like directly, like what they did with Lacey Lewis, Perez, and things like that, just in case they fall out of the boundaries of being protected by that government entity, they want to go directly after the person. That's why they add these separate counts. And then you have the judge like, well, you can't go after this person because they're protected here. You remember they had started pulling some stuff out, and they were doing that on the Alexis Wilson case as well, because it looked at repetitive as far as battery and wrongful death, but then they were targeting both officers. And then there were laws that said basically that, not that they were immune, but that the penalty that they were seeking, they had to get it from Dalton and not the officers, because those particular laws related to the Dalton police in that particular case, I'm giving you an example, like the Alexis Wilson case, don't allow those particular officers to be addressed for battery and or excessive force unless certain conditions were made. And I don't remember what conditions were met, but it's like maybe gross or something like that. Like for instance, if me as a nurse, as I'm working, if there's some things I'm just not protected under. Gross negligence knowingly, I'm not protected under. I'm gonna give you examples. Let me give you an example of gross negligence. When I went to New York and I did the COVID thing, basically they just threw all our names in this basket. This was dangerous as hell. We told them our specialty and they pulled our name and we went down there and they was like, you going to the baby unit, you going here, this, that, there. And I was like, I can't go to the mama and baby unit. I never had a baby. I had a baby myself, but I ain't never do that. I was like, I can't do that. Well, they was like, if you can't do that, then that means that you can't stay because that's the way it works. See, I say, no. You literally just pulling names out of a hat. Like, she's like, well, it's how you, the way you apply. No, I apply under ICU. And then it was God, because it was another nurse that was like, I'm a mom and baby. I can't go to the ICU. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, so if she can't go there and I can't go here, why can't we switch? Oh, that's something we can't do. This is what the people were saying. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why I was standing my guns, because in the state of New York at that time, and I'm going to start to close off because this case is still active. And I think we're on 29 and we're going to kind of skim through this. In the state of New York, basically, they gave us the right to work as nurses without having the New York license. It was basically Emergency Act. But they said under these terms and conditions, we are not protected under gross negligence, under in other things. But gross negligence is what stood out to me, because when you go into a place and you don't know, you don't know. You know you ain't supposed to be there. And you a specialist and you ain't doing right, that falls under gross negligence. I'm highlighting that because what would have happened if I would have took care of a patient and something happened to them, I wouldn't have been covered for real under the Emergency Act in New York, and I wouldn't have been covered by that agency. And they fucking knew it. They knew it. They was dangling that $10,000. I said, shit, y'all better switch up. They switched up. And then I only stayed there 2 weeks because it was terrible. But I just gave y'all an example of how the liability can be transferred over officials and people who work in certain businesses that they supposed to have some type of coverage. Does that make sense? That's why they kind of separate these counts, and then they start sounding redundant because they focus in on each person to see what's going to hit based on the law. Okay? So this is the end. Prayer for relief. This is what they asked it for. Let's see if they asked it for just money or they license.
Prayer for relief. Wherefore, the Church respectfully requests relief as follows. A. Enter a judgment declaring that the Village of Dalton must renew Resurrection Power Assembly's building permit, issue the requested plumbing and electrical permits, and business license. B. Enjoin on a permanent or preliminary basis defendants the Village of Dalton, its mayor, officers, agents, employees, attorneys, and all other persons acting in active concert with it, from acting in a manner inconsistent with the Village of Dalton's zoning code, which permits churches in the area located at 703 East Sibley Boulevard.
They want their license and permits. They want the people at the Village of Dalton to act accordingly to the law. The employees, the attorneys, the mayor, the officers, they are all in cahoots. Conspiracy.
Dalton, Illinois. C. Enjoin on a permanent or preliminary basis defendants the Village of Dalton, its mayor, officers, agents, employees, attorneys, and all other persons acting in active concert with it, from preventing or attempting to
They said stop being biased. That's what they want you to do. So they calling them all out. This is what they asking the judge for. Let's see what else. How much money?
D. Enjoin defendants the Village of Dalton, its mayor, officers, agents, employees, attorneys, and all other persons acting in active
enjoin means to enforce them to act in cohort with the law, basically, and stop preventing them from getting their permits. He talks about the plumbing, the business license, and you know he paid for these things. He paid for the I think he paid them, and they just never renewed them. Also, they want to award damages against both Dalton. Let's go.
An electrical permit and from renewing its general building permit. E. Award damages against both defendants for violation of the church's constitutional and statutory rights, for the injuries and the unlawful burdens the church has 30. Incurred, and for the unlawful delay and expenses related to the church's attempts to receive its permits.
So they want money back.
F. Award the church punitive damages for Mayor Henyard's willful and wanton acts of unreasonably and deliberately denying the church's application for a renewal of its building permit on the property, along with.
So basically, they want the money back from what they have spent, because he's talking about award the church of its cost expenses of these actions, including reasonable attorney fees, as well as they want punitive damage. That's where you get a lot of the money in punitive damage. And that's what ended up happening in the $33.5 million case. It was more punitive damage going on. So right now, as I mentioned to you, they have a new lawyer. I figured that out by reading this case and looking at the filing. As of today, they're going to zone in map 2. As of today, this is when a new lawyer, that new lawyer that I had told you guys about, his name is Shika. Shika is the new representative of these cases. Now, I don't know if it's all the cases that Dalton have, but they have a lot of cases. And we're just going to just remind you of the number before we close off. I know that was a lot to unpack. I am so glad 150 of you individual free thinkers had the mind and the attention to stay here all this time with Grace Levi talking. And y'all know I was talking some heavy shit. And y'all was here for it. I love y'all. Y'all my people. My people who is here got some damn attention span. I'm glad I was able to enlighten y'all, educate y'all a little bit, as well as entertain you. Just know that Delgado has recently dropped 19 cases. So we have new lawyers there in Dalton. I believe Henyard is possibly playing for those two FBI, what did they say? Federal crime investigator lawyers to be there to watch the trustees, because she see the trustees are moving. Like, oh, you want to change laws? Go ahead and fuck up. Go ahead and fuck up so I can get you. That's why she got them watching. And it looks like Delgado is separating himself just a little bit. Okay. I don't think that Delgado has thrown her in the garbage. I don't think so. They have let Henyard go too fucking far to just let her fall right now. I don't know what makes her special. I told you, I think it's voodoo, or somebody said that she be doing her thing. She be doing how Camilla got up, having these boyfriend friends, all of these damn relationship type of situationships, allegedly. But I don't think her mouth game that good for all of this to be going on. She must got some voodoo. I know I'm a Hebrew. I done said something bad, y'all, but I don't think her mouth game that is. She ain't that good. She got to have the devil working on her side. She got to. So I want to say I love you guys. Thank you for being here with the Levi family. You guys are part of the Levi family. You just don't know it. Free thinkers, ask questions. We care, but we don't give a damn about emotions. We express it, get it over with, move the hell on, agree to disagree, but we will not be cult members the fuck over here. Let's get it, okay? We are free to be free.
Hey! Glory to God. Glory! My. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Fact. Crazy. That's that real praise. In his presence, I'm feeling real brave. Yeah. I'm his son that shine without rays. His power is active, it's time to engage. I'm not talking rings, so do not be vain. See, they try to be him, but they can't. I be laughing, they look so deranged. When the money is gone, what remains? Yes, the kingdom of heaven, my bang. And I gotta feel it. I got this, my mission, I'm climbing the ranks. Ain't no limit, I'm riding a tank. When I'm in the spirit, my flesh should go blank. Can't even think, ayy. We ain't sipping no vodka. I ain't finna sell my soul for no drink, ayy. My shiak is my rock, flinging stones at the wicked, don't blink, ayy. On the mission, can't stop, gotta hold my position like planks, ayy. Most high can't fly, please. Ain't no diving boards, what you think, ayy. Devil sly as a fox, so I
me. They got to do this smear campaign to convince public opinion that I'm bad for them.
So you said 2 elections. You were first elected in 2021?
No, 2013 was my first election for trustee. I was a trustee. I sat where they are.
Right.
That's why I know the law.
Council.
Yes.
Elected mayor 2021.
Yes.
Terms 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. Plans of running for re-election?
I'm running for both my seats. And I'm going to win them.
So, and when is the election for Thornton Township?
2025.
So those elections at the same time?
They are.
Bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.